Alright guys, let's go into phase 2. Phase 2 is actually going to be a step behind phase 1. We're going to go back a little bit and get one of the basics of GIMP, not just how to skin IL-2 with it. So if you see the way mine is laid out, I've actually got this column over here which is for layers, some brush options down here in the bottom right. I really don't use that, but it's there. And then top left we have our tool, I guess we call it toolbar, and then the tool options. Now to set it up like this where it's all laid out and you don't have a bunch of floating windows, right here in the Windows option, I have single window mode checked. Now if you accidentally close windows or you can't find them, this is also the same place you'll go. So you have your recently closed docs, dockable dialogues, and that's going to be these different little bars, and then you can hide docs, get rid of all of them. I don't like that. So that's how you get them all set up here. Now if you end up accidentally dragging one off, which happens a lot, it really does. It accidentally go double click it and it'll pull itself off. Or you happen to just have these bars floating around. You want to customize your layout. You're going to want to grab this and try to put it back in, and it's not going to go. It's strange. It doesn't indicate anywhere where you do this, but right here where it shows two little levers and says tool options, two little levers is what you're going to want to grab, and you're going to drag that into this little dialogue thing here where it says you can drop dockable dialogues here, and that'll put it right back in place. So again, if you pull it off, just right here, this little square thing, this whole little tab, not the top part, but the little tab under it, take that and drag that back in, and there you go. I'm sure you could probably rearrange these. I haven't tried, and I could be wrong about that. There is a little arrow option over here as well on the layers, and to make sure you do have the layers up top, that's what I like to work with. There's actually 4 different tabs, and this is where you can see the history of things you do and can jump back in time quickly. I don't really use that. I use Control Z as in Zima and Y as in Yankee to go forward and backward. If you don't know what I'm saying, don't worry about it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into a skin again. Let's open our IL-2 folder, wherever you have yours hidden. Paint schemes, skins, and I guess for the video I like to work on the 109. So let's grab the void file for the 109 again. That's not what I meant. That's not what I wanted. Where am I? BF 109K4. Well, I don't like that. These don't look right. Sorry for the delay here. There we go. Okay, I had to go to E4. That would be the updated skin. I thought that updated all the folders. Apparently not. So as always, we go to image mode, RGB, layer, transparency, color to alpha, and then new layer, white, and layer down. Okay, one last time, new layer, transparency, and that's our working skin. Now again, I'm not going to actually sit here and paint a skin. I'm just going to show you a few things you can do. Did have a question on getting patterns to rotate. If we go to this fill bucket here and we pick a pattern out, I'm going to be honest, I am not the GIMP master. There may be things that I have not discovered yet. I'm sure there's tons of them actually. but I'll show you how I've got around it so far. So we have these stripes. We want these stripes to actually go straight across like horizontal, but currently they run diagonally. If I wanted to do that, I would make this oversized box. Let's say I want it over my wings. You know, let's say we want our top of our wings to be like this. I just undid Control Z. What I do is I'd actually make a selection far larger than what I need. I just need the two top wings, as these two here. But I'm going to make a box much bigger than that. Fill tool, I'm going to use these stripes and paint. Now, just looking already, I realize I might not even have made it big enough as it is. What we're going to do is going to grab this layer here, and we're going to put it where we want. Now, just so you know, right now, when you make a new layer, it fills itself the entire size of the image. Sometimes that's useful, but oftentimes it's not. So what you can do once you have your layer finalized, or at least in a point where you want to work with it, go to layer and then auto crop layer. And it no longer is a full size. It's actually only the size of whatever pattern you have. I grabbed the wrong one there. So you can work with just a small area instead of having that whole weird big thing. Okay, so again, I know I didn't make this the right size, but at least I'll show you where I'm going with this. Up here, we're going to look for the rotate tool, which has got an arrow on the top going down and the bottom coming up, kind of like a little rotation thing going. It's just called rotate tool. Click that and click your actual layer you're working with, and now you can spin it, rotate it any way you want. Working with diagonal lines, trying to make them not diagonal, rather straight. It's probably not going to come out right because of the pixelation going on in the game, but we'll try it anyways. Right here you can put the actual angle. I'm just going to put 45 and hit rotate, and oh, look at that. Look at that. We have the lines we wanted. But they're not going quite far enough. I didn't make that box big enough. I made it long enough, but not tall enough. So I could redo it, and that's probably what I should do. But to show you another tool here, there's the scale tool. It's one past the rotate tool, scale tool. We can select this, and then you got 4 corners. Or sorry, that's 4 corners. You have probably 8 corners. 8 grabbable sections, excuse me. You take this and you can just pull it the way you want. It is going to skew it a bit. It's going to change, but you can always fix that by skewing the opposite direction. Hit scale, and now we have a larger one. Now here is, it covers area. Now here's the downside to auto cropping a layer. I auto cropped that layer only to the size I was working with, which is about right here. But I just stretched it way beyond that to this whole area here. It's not showing up. You can go into layer and go layer to image size. Doesn't always work the way you want it to or the way I want it to. That was not me. What I did is it was a floating one. Let me go back. I'm jumping subjects on you real quick. When you make a change like that, you completely change a layer, like skewing it, stretching it, rotating it, whatever. It doesn't stay that layer. It becomes a new one up here, floating selection. And you have 2 options. You can anchor it, which it becomes part of the layer you're working with before, or you can just make it a whole new layer on its own, and it's separate from where it started from. And I'll just do that for now. Now, it's also completely obliterating our picture because it's layer on top. I'm going to arrow down, and now I can kind of see what I was doing again, and we can go ahead and make this adjustment I wanted. Okay, so there we are. Right there, we had exactly what I wanted. I wanted the wing covered. I do want both wings done, but there's a way I can do that. I'm just going to grab a selection tool. You can do it any way you want, and I'm going to grab a good old chunk of this, and I'm hitting Control C for copy. I'm giving you shortcuts. You can find the actual non-shortcut version up here at the top. Okay, but I'm just giving you shortcuts. Control C will copy it. Control V, as in Victor, will paste it. And then I have that floating thing again. I need to hit the new layer. I don't want it to be part of the other one. I want it to be its own separate layer. And now I move that up over here. Now again, it's being like alpha pattern because It's covering everything up. And by alpha, I'm kind of mean like alpha male, not alpha as in the, oh, forget it. Okay. Now, I have a little issue here. They're not lined up, and I'm kind of picky about that. So I'm going to go ahead and move this down to match up exactly. You can hold down the control key and use your mouse wheel to zoom in and out quickly. And that's a good way to tell. A second ago, it looked like it was lined up. I can tell now zooming in, it's not. It's still not. Oh, maybe it is. I don't know. Good enough. Good enough for the naked eye. And then I'm going to go ahead and move it away so it doesn't affect the other one. Okay, so now I have this entirely oversized striped area, and I don't want that. But I do have the stripes how I want them. So what I'm going to do, make sure you work on the correct layer when you do this. Right now I'm selecting this small little layer here. So I have my selection tool. I'm going to select around the wing because I don't want all this excess, but I do want the wing striped. And you'll learn with different skins how picky to be in doing this stuff like this. Okay, so I've selected the wing itself. Now, if I hit the delete key, oh, it does the opposite of what I wanted. But just to show you that is an option, you just hit delete and just wipes everything out in your selection. I want the opposite. I want outside of that done. So I'm going to go to select and choose invert. Now it's actually flipped that selection. It's actually paying attention to what's outside that selection rather than inside of it. Now I hit delete and you see parts disappear. Now I immediately recognize what happens there, why it all didn't. But I know if you're new to GIMP, it probably doesn't make sense, and things like this will catch you up. It's a matter of experimentation. So what's happening is the initial layer is still there, and so it's kind of still messing this one up. But I'm not going to move my selection. I'm not going to do anything about it except selecting the other layer, the one that's causing the problem. My selection stays right where it's at, and so now if I delete, it's going to delete everything on this layer other than what's in my selection box again, because that invert option. So I hit delete, boom, and there's problem fixed. Or is there? I just wiped out the other wing. Two ways to fix it. I can go back, I can cut out that wing and delete everything on the outside, and in fact I'll do that real quick to show you what I'm saying, and then we'll go to the other option on a quick fix. There's just different ways around GIMP, and I want you to be aware of that. So now I do the same thing. I do select, invert, and it flips the selection. Doesn't look like it does, but it does, and there we go. I have my two wings. I mentioned a second way, and now that I think about it, it's probably better just to keep things simple. So understand that once you're used to GIMP, there's a couple different ways to do just about everything, but that's one simple way to do it. Now I have two separate wing objects here. If you want to make them one, so everything you do, changes you make, affect them both equally, you can just select the merge down. Make sure they're right next to each other, one on top of the other one, and then select the top one, right click, and choose merge down, and they'll become one layer, the two combined. So if I were to alpha to selection, which is to select every physical object in that layer, it would grab them both equally. I'm going to choose select none and move on to the second and last thing I really intend to show you in this video, and that's importing other images. So I'm going to jump to Internet Explorer, and I'm going to type in something. Let's see, Fireball. Let's try Fireball. It's usually best when you look for images to type in .png, whatever it is you're looking for, .png, because they generally have a transparency in the background, which is really going to help your skins out, so you don't see the box that things were drawn in or whatever. I'm going to go to images, and wow, look at all those fireballs to choose from. I guess I will, what's going to look best? Oh, there's just a ton of them. I'm going to, you know what, let's not get hung up on dumb stuff. I'm gonna pick this one. Okay, I'm going to view image. It's a nice looking image right there. I'm gonna highlight it, right click, and choose save picture as. I hope it is a PNG. I wasn't really paying attention. Desktop, Fireball, good to go. Save. Okay, I'm gonna first, in this particular instance, because that's an image that it's a raw image I just grabbed, I want to make sure that it's up to the task first. So I'm gonna choose open. I'm gonna find it. Oh, it is a PNG. There's the transparency, all the checkerboard. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want. So in this case, I'm gonna right click its layer and choose alpha to selection, and that's gonna select anything that's physical. And Control C, copy. I'm going to move over to the skin I'm working on and Control Victor. And there we go. Now, as always, it's not quite a layer yet. It looks like one, but it's transparent. It's kind of passive. As soon as I choose a new layer over here, boom, it becomes a solid object. It becomes the master, if you will, currently. Let's go ahead and move it down. We want it more painted on. We don't really want it as if it is the image and the plane is the afterthought. It's too big. I'm going to choose the scale tool. I'm going to select it. I'm going to scale it down. If you want to scale evenly, you grab this corner, but you can still skew it on accident. Evenly, you hold down Control, and that takes away your options. It just keeps it exactly the height and the width, the ratio the same. I guess that's about right. Now you see 2 here. That's just because I haven't finalized what I'm doing. I choose scale and boom, finalized. Now we move this wherever we want it. We'll do it right there in the fuselage. I don't like these little fire things here. You won't be able to see them because glass is right there in the actual game. So we're going to use the flip and rotate tool, and that's, I'm pretty sure that's this guy. Yeah, flip tool. Kind of shows, it looks like this. You can see what I'm doing. Click it and it flips it. Now it flips it horizontally. The other option is to choose layer and then transform. This works any layer. You don't have to use that tool. You can be anywhere on any layer. I'm just going to show you. Go up here to layer, transform, flip horizontally. And what just happened was this guy up here just flipped. I'm going to Control Z to undo that and go back to what I was actually trying to do, and that's this here. Layer, same thing, transform, and we got flip vertical or horizontal. So you can kind of mess around there. Now we're going to back it off a little bit. I know it's too big, and you know what? It's just too big. Let's scale it one more time. Great. Balls of fire. Okay, there we go. One side of the fuselage has the same piece. Let's say we want both to. I'm just going to right click it. I'm going to choose duplicate layer. And there's a second one there. Now, to keep things evenly spaced, what I like to do, once it's selected, I just clicked on it. I just use the arrow keys. I'm just holding down the down arrow key on my keyboard, and that's going to keep it in the exact same left to right placement, but it's going to allow me to move the duplicate down. I'm just kind of eyeballing it here. Okay, cool. So we got our striped wings. We have our white plane with fireballs on the side. I think that's really all. That covers everything I want to cover in this video. So just quickly, I'm going to, with no love at all, I'm going to select this plane, and we're just going to primer it real quick and just go see what it looks like in the actual game with just a few little things we did here. I'm also probably going to show you one alternative, if I remember, to bring in another image, to import an image. That fireball, I just opened it in another GIMP and I edited it and I grabbed it and I hit Control C to copy it, and I came to this one and then I hit Control V to paste it, and that's how we got where we are. Alternatively, if the image is already like you want it, you don't need to edit it with GIMP. It's exactly how you want it. You can choose the option open as layers instead of just open. It's open as layers, and that will actually just plop it right on in here as a separate layer automatically. Okay, that should be good. All right, I've got a selection here I want to work with. I'm gonna hit new layer, transparency. I'm just gonna paint it real quick so we can go see what it looks like. Don't use complete black when working with IL-2. Come off of black a little bit. Paint it in there. I'm gonna go ahead and move this layer down so we can see the fireballs. Okay, cool. While I have this layer here, I really don't mean to get into this whole skin thing right now. I just wanted to show you that, but I am kind of a perfectionist, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit new layer, transparency. It's gonna keep my selection, but I'm on the new layer, and I'm gonna go ahead and add a real fine misting, if you will, of another layer just to give it more of a realistic look in the game. I'm just gonna choose marble. I'm gonna drop its opacity down to about 9%, and I'm gonna click it. Yeah, that's probably going to be we probably need less powerful than that. Let's go down to 6%. Okay, and then I always come up here to colors, and I choose to desaturate it. And that way, if any of these paint layers have a color to them, it doesn't change the image. It turns into a black and white layer. Okay, that should be good enough to see what we're doing, what it looks like. So we're going to do the normal flatten image. And then image mode indexed, make sure it's 256, convert, and then export as we'll call it fireball.bmp, export, and then compatibility options, make sure that box is checked, and export. Cool, let's go see. That was the movie we were making. Okay, let's go ahead and see what that looks like. I believe. Fireball. Hey, look at that. Fireball. Cool, cool.